bagaimana IKM itu bisa menjadi tulang punggung perekonomian bangsa. Dan saya Prisa Sumdatu pamit undur diri, sampai berjumpa kembali.
Deficit hit 6.1% in 2020. Indo Tambang Raya Mega is ready to distribute total dividends of $35.5 billion for shareholders. Good afternoon, viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of information from business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Lantai Wijaya, and this is Market Headlines. Government estimates that the extraordinary policies and the state budget management will still be the foundations of the economic recovery. The finance minister ensures that the fiscal policy deficit in Indonesia is still maintained and was still lower than the total needed by the world.
The COVID-19 pandemic is still the main cause of the decline in the economies of all countries. Even the finance minister Sri Mulyani called last year the worst year for Indonesia and countries. Until now, there are a total of 170 countries that have experienced economic contraction due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Even the economies of developed countries such as the United States also contracted very deeply. In addition, the increase in debt ratios around the world continues to skyrocket, while the IMF noted last year the required stimulus reached 12% of global GDP. This also happened in the state budget, where the government had to take extraordinary policies by raising the deficit to 6.1% last year in an effort to restore the economy.
Tapi meskipun kita relatif tadi 6% atau dalam hal ini 40 billion US dollar dibandingkan rata-rata tadi total size stimulus, dan nanti ada pembicara seperti Pak Dede, Pak Khatib Basri atau Pak Dodi bisa menyampaikan perbandingan itu pun merupakan sesuatu yang sudah extraordinary untuk Indonesia. Karena Indonesia selama ini Undang-Undang Keuangan Negara memandatkan kita tidak boleh memiliki defisit di atas 3% dari APBN. Dan dari sisi total utang negara tidak boleh 60%.
Sri Mulyani ensured that the government would try to restore the economy. The government noted that the deepest economic contraction occurred in the second quarter of 2020, and it is hoped that this year's economy will return to normal. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
The government, through the Ministry of Cooperatives and Small and Medium Enterprises, will continue to the Productive Presidential Assistance Program for micro and small businesses in 2021. This year, as many as 12.8 million micro businesses will receive a cash assistance of 1.2 million rupiah each.
The Ministry of Cooperatives and SME revealed that the government will continue the Presidential Assistance Program for productive micro businesses for 12.8 million micro entrepreneurs with a budget of 15.36 trillion rupiah in 2021. For Stage 1, it will be given to 9.8 million business actors, and for the second phase, 3 million micro entrepreneurs. Meanwhile, the assistance will be disbursed until the third quarter of 2021. Different from the previous year, the provision of assistance, which was originally 2.4 million rupiah for each business actor, this year the government provided assistance of 1.2 million rupiah, referring to the agreement of a government meeting through the Committee for the Acceleration of National Economic Recovery, which was carried out in early March.
Nah, pada tanggal 1 Maret 2021, program BPOM diputuskan untuk dilanjutkan. Ya. Dalam rapat tersebut disampaikan bahwa dalam rangka akselerasi pertumbuhan ekonomi di kuartal 1, maka program BPOM diprioritaskan kepada pelaku-pelaku UMKM yang datanya sudah ada di kementerian kita. Jadi data yang sudah menerima, data yang sudah masuk sebelumnya tapi belum diproses sama sekali, kemudian data yang sudah masuk dan sudah diproses tapi karena tenggat waktu belum cair waktu itu yang sudah di-SK-kan, ini yang kita utamakan untuk diproses.
Until April 1st, 2021, the government has validated data in the Ministry of Cooperatives and SMEs, and the President's Assistance for Productive Micro Businesses has been channeled to 6.6 million micro businesses with a budget of 7.9 trillion rupiah. From Jakarta, Ade Firmansyah for IDX Channel.
International Monetary Fund, or IMF, estimates that Indonesia's economic growth in 2021 will be at 4.3%. This number is lower than the average global economic growth.
IMF projections are in the report titled World Economic Outlook, April 2021 editions of the Managing Divergence Recoveries. This IMF economic projections report predicts global economic growth in 2021 will be at 4.9%. Meanwhile, the global economic growth projections for 2022 is even lower at 3.4%. IMF projects Indonesia's economy to grow 4.3%. The institutions also predicts that Indonesia's economic this year will be lower than the economic growth in the ASEAN's 5 regions, namely Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia. While the highest projections of economic growth in these regions occurs in the Philippines, which is predicted to grow by up to 6.9% in 2021. From all sources for IDX Channel.
After reviewing food price in the Kramat Jati market in Jakarta, the Minister of Trade, Muhammad Lutfi, ensures that food stocks are safe for Ramadan season and Raya.
The Kramat Jati traditional market is referred to as the upstream to find out the price of foodstuffs in the retail market. Therefore, Minister of Trade, Muhammad Lutfi, reviewed the food price there. The prices of shallots and garlic are said to be stable at below 21,000 a kilogram. In addition, the price of chilies has also dropped to 70,000 a kilogram. Minister Lutfi said that rice is still in stable conditions with stock that are considered sufficient during Ramadan and Raya. Not only affordable prices, Lutfi guarantees that food stocks are available and safe during Ramadan and Raya. From all sources for IDX Channel.
Okay, Lance, we'll be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
lembaga pengelola investasi atau Indonesia.
Bagaimana tanggapan dari pengusaha dengan angka ini?
Tentu membuat kita harus lebih berhati-hati.
Langkah apa yang tepat?
Jadi kita harus bisa menunjukkan kepada masyarakat bahwa vaksinasi itu penting.
Halo Sobat Milenial, berikut adalah pilihan investasi untuk Sobat Milenial. Yang pertama adalah tabungan di bank. Nah, tabungan di bank ini sifatnya sangat liquid, jadi dapat diambil kapanpun dan dalam bentuk cash. Yang kedua adalah deposito. Investasi dalam deposito dapat diambil ketika jatuh tempo dengan tenor tertentu dan imbal hasilnya 5-6% per tahun. Dan yang ketiga adalah investasi dalam bentuk obligasi. Nah, obligasi ini dibagi dua. Ada obligasi yang diterbitkan oleh pemerintah dan ada obligasi yang diterbitkan oleh perusahaan swasta. Yang keempat, investasi saham. Dengan berinvestasi saham, kita akan mendapatkan dividen atau bagi hasil dari perusahaan. Dan yang kelima adalah investasi reksadana. Reksadana adalah produk investasi yang dikelola oleh manajer investasi. Dalam reksadana dapat menjanjikan imbal hasil 10-20% per tahun. So, kamu pilih investasi yang mana?
Welcome back to Market Headlines. Vice President and COO of Hyundai Motor Asia Pacific headquarters, Lee Kang-hyun, targets to stop producing electric vehicles from factories in Indonesia in March 2022. Hyundai has spent around $1.55 billion to build a factory in Cikarang, West Java.
Hyundai is preparing factory to produce more cars in Indonesia. The factory, which is in Cikarang, West Java, will produce both electric vehicles, also cars with internal combustion engine. The factory worth $1.55 billion. Vice President, COO of Hyundai Motor Asia Pacific headquarters, Lee Kang-hyun, said that if the demand for electric vehicles increases, the factory can flexibly change the production portions of the two types of vehicle. So far, Hyundai targets electric car productions in March 2022 in Indonesia. Hyundai markets electric vehicles at a price of 600 billion rupiah to 700 billion rupiah. From all sources for IDX Channel.
Are the future, and each year we've seen automakers add more electric vehicles to their lineup. So everyone is working on them, from well-established manufacturers like Tesla, Honda, Hyundai, as stated before, to the new names such as Byton, Lordstorm, or even Rivian. So thus, it makes the car sales volume skyrocketing. So to see the detail, let's see the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see electric car sales volume. First of all, we can see that European Union is about to dominate about the electric car sales volume by reaching 1.3 million units of electric car sales in 2020, followed up by China by 1.3 million units in 2020. And citing the EVvolumes.com site, electric car sales have shot up over the past year, and the website predicts that the sales volume of electric cars last year even reached 3.24 million units, and this is higher than the realizations in the previous year, which was only 2.26 million units. So as we can see through the graphic, that the European become the world region that recorded the highest growth in the electric car market last year, and in fact the sales volume of the electric cars in Europe during 2020 has surpassed the sales in China, which was previously the largest electric car market in the world. And how how about Indonesia? That's the questions. And the electric car market in Indonesia is still in its early stages due to many imperfect supporting factors, such as lack of charging stations and still ongoing tax schemes. And despite all the things, government is very optimistic about the usage of electric vehicle in the future. So let's see the target set by the government through the next graphic. Here it is. We can see Indonesia's electric vehicle usage target. So government is set a target by 2030 by selling electric car by 600 units. Meanwhile, for the electric motorcycle, government set a target by 2.4 million units. But then the question is, would the government be able to achieve these targets? Well, the electric car usage is predicted to gain more and more users, but then there are things that may hamper the appetite. First, about the price. Most Indonesians buy car that less than 300 million rupiah, while the lowest price we can record for the electric vehicle is around 650 million rupiah. So it is quite unreachable. And the second one is about the normality, the habit. Indonesians are very used to go to the gas stations to fill up the gasoline, while there is a different way in terms of electric car. So Indonesians need to adopt the new habit. And the third one is about the ecosystem. In order for an electric car to be used massively, it requires availability of the charging stations at home, office, gas stations, and in public places. And the battery supply must be sufficient to avoid shortage, right? So the electric vehicle ecosystem in Indonesia is still on progress, or we can say that it is not mature enough. But anyway, the government has set an ambitious target. So in order to get into the beat, the minister say that the government has provided various fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. So what are the incentives? Let's see through the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see government's incentives to boost electric vehicle sales. We can take a look from the consumer side. It is a free luxury tax, 0% to 10% of the regional tax only, and about the minimum due payment on a 0% only. And the next one is that electricity charging discount, and the next one is that special license plate. But if we take a look from the producer side, we can see that government is giving a tax holiday, mini tax holiday, and also tax allowance, exceptions from the import duty, and also super tax deductions for the R&D, which is research for development projects. And the existence of incentives certainly attempts the consumers to switch to electric cars. Moreover, many manufacturers are presenting new and more attractive models. And not only the incentives, many factors cause electric cars demand to go up. Many countries struggling to meet the obligations to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. So that's Indonesia. So let's see the target set by Indonesia through the next graphic. So here it is. We can see the green economy trend through what is Indonesia's target on carbon dioxide emissions reductions. In car, government believed to reduce carbon dioxide by 2.7 million tons. Meanwhile, for the motorcycle, by applying this electric vehicle trend, government believes that it can reduce up to 1.1 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Even so, globally, researchers say that the average lifetime emissions from electric car are up to 70% lower than the petrol cars. And they say the picture for electric cars will become steadily more favorable as nations shift into the clean electricity. Plus, study projects that in 2020, every second car on the streets of the world could be electric. And this could reduce global carbon dioxide emissions by up to 1.5 gigatons per year, which is equivalent to the total current carbon dioxide emissions on Russia. And yes, viewers, COVID-19 has brought unprecedented economic devastations, but as we recover, we have the opportunity to build back better in a modern green economy that works for everyone. Stay tuned with us because market headlines will be right back after this quick break.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Telah kita ketahui bersama bahwa Indonesia sebagai negara muslim terbesar di dunia merupakan pasar yang sangat potensial untuk perkembangan ekonomi dan keuangan syariah. Saya menyambut baik dan mengucapkan terima kasih kepada IDX Channel yang telah menyelenggarakan acara ini. Acara ini juga menjadi sarana untuk meningkatkan literasi dan inklusi ekonomi dan keuangan syariah di masyarakat. Melalui upaya ini diharapkan berbagai program pengembangan ekonomi dan keuangan syariah akan terlaksana dengan lebih baik. Insya Allah cita-cita besar menjadi Indonesia sebagai pusat ekonomi dan keuangan syariah dunia dapat kita wujudkan.
Menteri Kelautan dan Perikanan Wahyu Sakti Tenggono secara tegas melarang aktivitas ekspor benih lobster.
Karena benur itu adalah kekayaan daripada bangsa ini, kekayaan dari alam ini. Dia hanya boleh dibudidaya.
Presiden Joko Widodo resmi mencabut aturan terkait investasi industri minuman keras.
Bahlil Lahadalia menyebutkan
adalah kita memberikan perizinan berusaha dan inisiatif bagi UMKM.
Yes, viewers, let's take a look at Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement. So earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,007.64, and then approaching the closing time in the first session, the index was on the level of 6,003.32, and the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. The index was closed at the level of 6,036.61. In short, JCI went up 0.56%. Next, we're going to see the sectoral movement. The dynamics of today's trading. We got trade as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.31%. We got infrastructure that went up 0.9%. Next, we got MISC industry as the leader of the weakening trend that went down 0.52%, and construction that went down 0.18%. Moving on to the top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading sessions. We got SAME that went up 13.84% to the level of 510 rupiah per share. We got MPPA that went up 12.56% to the level of 484 rupiah per share. We got BABP that went up 30.14% to the level of 95 rupiah per share. And then we got LPPF that went up 13.33% to the level of 1,615 rupiah per share. Meantime, for the top losers for today's trading sessions, we got Astro International that went down to 0.47%. And then we got Waskita that went down 5.45%. We got TINS that went down 1.24%, and ABBA that went down 6.67%. Next, we are going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah was opened at the level of 14,466. Rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,508. In summary, rupiah went down 0.29%. Although posted a lower performance in 2020, Indo Tambang Raya Wega is ready to distribute total dividends of $35.5 million for the shareholders.
Although last year's performance decreased, Indo Tambang Raya Megah is ready to distribute dividends of $35.5 million. For information, the company only pocketed revenue of $1.18 billion in 2020. This realization was down 30.9% compared to 2019. In line with the weakening of revenue, the company posted a decline net profit, only $39.5 million. Meanwhile, $22.8 million of net profit, or equivalent to 307 rupiah per share, has been distributed to shareholders as an interim cash dividend on November 2020. On the other hand, the remaining net profit will be added to the retained earnings account to support the development of the company's operations. Meanwhile, Indo Tambang Raya Megah is known as an issuer that is consistent and generous in distributing sweeteners to shareholders. The amount of dividends for the 2020 financial year is actually lower than the amount of dividends distributed for the 2019 financial year. However, the dividend payout ratio for the 2020 is greater than 2019. From Jakarta, IDX Channel team reported.
First quarter of 2021 has treated well the constructions company PP Presisi. The company has already collected 813 billion rupiah new contracts, or the number is 23% of the total target. Constructions company PP Presisi recorded a new contract of 813 billion rupiah in the first quarter of 2021. This amount is equivalent to 23% of the total target of new contracts, which is 3.7 trillion rupiah. Meanwhile, in the second quarter of 2021, the company is targeting total contracts to reach more than 1.5 trillion rupiah. President Director of PP Presisi, Ruli Noviandar, said that this achievement was an extraordinary in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to diversification, the nickel mining service sector contributed 55% from new contracts, followed by civil work related to mining infrastructure development in the form of nickel mining hauling road improvement project, that is 15% of the whole contracts. Other than civil work projects, the company also got new contracts from National Strategic Project of Paved Shoulder Taxiway at Sultan Haji Muhammad Sulaiman International Airport, Sepinggan, Balikpapan, East Kalimantan. This will soon to be international gate of the new capital city. From all sources, IDX Channel. Krakatau Steel gave additional working capital worth 798 billion rupiah to its subsidiary, Krakatau Tirta Industry. The subsidiary will soon go public. The additional working capital worth 798 billion rupiah. So in total, Krakatau Steel's equity participation in Krakatau Tirta Industry is 818 billion rupiah. President Director of Krakatau Steel, Silmi Karim, said that the additional capital was prepared to strengthen the capital structure of the subsidiary Krakatau Tirta Industry in order to develop the company's future business and preparation for an initial public offering. The working capital will be used for business development. One of it is for preparations of 400 liter a second clean water supply to support Lotte Chemical Indonesia factory development. Also, the company aims to prepare 1,000 liter a second clean water supply for Chandra Asri Petrochemical. From all sources, IDX Channel. Step aside from market conditions, as coronavirus pandemic takes a big role on current economic situations, here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. At the news close of market headlines today, please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic business and capital market channel. I'm Claranta Wijaya. Have a nice evening and stay safe.